What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the first webinar. So I'm going to break down what's in this webinar and what you guys should expect from these webinars in the upcoming week. Before I break that down, I just wanted to welcome each and every single one of you to the Stock Market Lab community. This is a newly fresh community with the online section. So if you guys went through the forums, you kind of see a lot of it is kind of empty. But I promise within the next upcoming weeks, there's going to be a lot more content and a lot more information out there. So once again, thank you for trusting us and putting your trust into our team and allowing us to partake in your trading community, right? Now, with that being said, I'm just gonna overview everything one more time so everyone understands. So these webinars are held 2 times a week. Now, the idea of these webinars are to go over any questions you guys have. Now, the first half of the course is pretty elementary, it's pretty basic. I know there's still gonna be some questions that pop up, but as you guys progress and as you guys go through your journey, the course is going to become a little bit more and more advanced. As the course becomes more advanced, the whole idea is for you guys to kind of become more familiarized with trading. And the best way to do that is if you guys, and when you guys do get stuck on a topic, for you guys to come to this webinar and ask questions. Now, if you can't make the webinar because of timing, because you have work or something that is scheduled during this time, you guys can go on this section on the forum where it says webinar questions. And on this section, you guys can post your webinars. No one posted any questions yet, but you guys can post your question here and say, hey, I can't make the webinar, but I have a question about this. Or, hey, I did this with this chart, or I did this with this stock. Is it correct? What could I have done better, right? And the whole idea of that is as you guys are trying to become better traders, you're gonna have issues, you're gonna have problems, and the idea of these webinars is to close that gap, okay? Now, if you don't wanna ask the questions here, that's totally fine. On this webinar screen, there's a question box. You guys can ask questions there, okay? And when you guys do ask questions there, no one can see who asked besides me. So I usually, when I answer questions, I'm not gonna say, hey, this person asked or that person asked. I just answer it because a lot of people kind of get shy, like, oh, I don't want my name out there, or oh, I don't want to look stupid. So when you ask, I'll go over the questions, so don't worry, no one can see them. Now, if you can't make the webinar, if you're unable to join any of these webinars, they are all going to be recorded and they will be posted. So each one of these webinars are recorded and they are posted. Now, where are they going to be posted? They're going to be posted on a Kajabi link. So when you guys go to your online portal, on the online portal, there's going to be a second section you guys are going to see by tonight. That section is going to upload each and every single Q&A webinar we have, right? So that's the Q&A webinars. We have 2 Q&A webinars a week. I usually schedule them in advance. And if you want to look at the schedule, you guys can go to upcoming webinars and you can see the schedule. Now, for this week, this is our schedule. So we have 2 online Q&A webinars. If you click here, you guys can see what the Q&A webinars are. One is today, and one is on Wednesday, 1 p.m., right? The second one we have is something called a trader development webinar. That webinar is going to go over real trading questions. This is kind of for people that have completed the course, that are at the end and are having a hard time maybe developing their trading plan, maybe having a hard time with psychology, maybe they're having a hard time with entering or exiting a trade. That's what we're gonna focus on this. The first webinar, once again, is all elementary stuff, everything from the course, everything for the 10 weeks, whatever questions you guys have, it's gonna cover that. Part 2, the trader development, is once you are done with the course and you are trading and you are having a hard time maybe finding your edge, you are maybe having a hard time entering, exiting trades, that webinar is there for you to jump on, ask the questions, and I'll go over certain trades with you guys just so you can kind of progress your trading journey. That's the 2 webinars. And like I said, if you guys have any questions, you guys can ask in the question box. I know it's like 2 or 3 days since you guys started the course, so there probably won't be a lot of questions. So if you have any questions, comment in the question box, but I'll go over some things just to kind of give you guys a refresher. Now, I've noticed some people have really excelled with the course. They're on part 5, some are on part 4. Please don't rush through the course, right? Do not rush through the course. Each part of the course has something called action items. Like part 2 has action items, part 3 has action items, part 4 has action items, part 5 has action items. Do not go on to the next part until you complete the action items. The reason the action items are there is because once you do them, Like if you do the action items in part 3, you guys are gonna have some questions. I want you to have those questions because when you have those questions, they're going to get reinforced in the next part and it's going to stick with you a lot better. Okay, that's why it's very important to do them and take it one step at a time. I understand people are trying to rush through the course, they want to get to the end, but I promise that's not going to help. Taking it slowly, digesting the information, it's going to help you out a lot more than rushing through it. All right, so just take it one step at a time instead of trying to rush. Now, with that being said, just gonna cover one more thing and I'll jump to any questions you guys have. Like I said, if you have any questions, just please post it in the question box, okay? Now, the thing I kind of want to break down is, I'm gonna break this down. This is what I want to break down for everybody. Now, when you guys are starting out as traders, there's probably a few of you that have traded, a few of you that haven't traded. But what you have to understand is when you start out, this is where you're starting out. This is the point, okay? You want to get to this point. That's the point you really, really want to get to. That's the point where you're at 100%. You're super confident, you're super comfortable, right? You have consistency. You're able to take losses. You're able to, you know, cut your, not let your winners continuously run. Everything is flowing perfectly, right? To get to this point, right, you have to close the gap. There's a gap in between. This gap has to be closed. Now, the problem a lot of traders have, and I cover this in the mindset aspect, is that they think that the way to close this gap, they need to just know price action, chart analysis, risk management, knowing when to get in, knowing when to get out. They think in order for you to close this gap, that's the only thing you need to do. Now, what I want you guys to understand and establish right now is that that's not the only thing. That only accounts for about 20%. Once again, that only accounts for about 20%, guys. For you to get from point A to point B, which is where you're a confident, successful trader, 20% of it is price action, knowing when to get in, knowing when to get out, learning a lot of this information. Okay, that's only 20%. Now, where does the remaining 80% come in from? The remaining 80% here, that all comes in from mindset. This is all from mindset, right? How disciplined you are, how consistent you are. Are you able to cut losses? Are you able to enter? All of these things play a huge role in trading, guys, a very, very big role. So you guys have to fully understand that part, where in order for you to get to a successful point in trading, your mind state has to be at an elevated level. And that's what part 14 and part 15 covers. Part 14 and 15 has exercises for you guys to do that focuses on the mindset, that allows you to figure out what your mental blind spots are, right? That's what makes up majority of trading, because think about it. If trading was just this 20%, right, where you know what to get in, you know when to get out, blah, 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 everyone would make money. But the reason a lot of people don't make money is because of this. Now, this comes from your personal life, okay? So basically, let's say you're a very undisciplined person. Let's say you have no consistency. If you have zero consistency, zero discipline, you're not magically gonna see discipline or consistency overnight, because that's a muscle in your brain. So your brain has a muscle that controls willpower, that controls consistency, that controls discipline. If that muscle is very weak, you're not magically gonna get it overnight. So what you have to do is you have to establish that muscle. So when you are trading, right, and you are in a real trade with real money, that muscle is strong enough to overtake your emotions, right? And you're able to think with logic instead of emotion, right? And building that muscle up, I have certain techniques and exercises for you guys to do to actually build it up, but that takes time, right? It takes months. It doesn't take a day or 2 days or 3 days. It takes time, right? So that's very important to understand that. The second thing I want you guys to understand, starting now, is that the person you are right now, this is you right now. That person, whoever you are right now, is not qualified for trading. We as humans are not qualified to become traders. It's just not possible. So what we have to do is we have to understand what changes do we have to make in our mental state. what changes have to be made for us to get to this point, for us to actually be traders. And the only way you're gonna figure this out is when you trade with real money and you apply yourself, not with paper money, not paper trading, but when you trade with real money, these things come out. You start noticing some things. Like personally with me, when I first started trading, the biggest problem I had was ego, right? I hated being wrong. So when I would enter a trade, and even if the trade looked bad, and I would tell somebody like, hey, I got in this stock, I don't care what the stock is doing, I'm not selling. Because my ego would kick in and they would say, nope, you can't be wrong. I'm gonna be embarrassed. That was the one big problem I had. I had a very hard time getting out of trades, even though they looked bad, because I did not want to crush my ego. But that's something that takes time for you to understand about yourself. You're not gonna know right off the bat. And when you trade, right, when you start trading, guys, you're gonna notice trading is going to expose a lot of things about you, and you're gonna say, holy shit, wow, like I didn't know this about myself. I didn't know that. I didn't know this. And it plays such a huge role. So understanding that part is extremely important. So yeah, I just wanted to cover that as you guys started, and wanted to leave it at that. So if you guys have any questions, I don't see anyone with any questions at all at the moment. If you guys have any questions, let me just put this in for a second, 1 second. If you guys have any questions, just please ask. Just give me a second, let me plug this in. All right. All right, so if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm gonna go over the questions right now. Okay, the first question about the textbooks. My question is, when will we be getting the textbooks? So there's something that happened with the textbooks. You guys should be getting this box. We have your address, so I'm gonna go over what's in this box. So the box was coming from China, and the shipments got delayed. So the shipments right now, because I'm ordering like 1,000+ pieces, so the shipments are coming towards the end of November, right? What's in the boxes, just so you guys know, it's not anything that you're really missing out. It's just a textbook of the full course content. So if you're someone that wants to go through the course in the textbook format, it's in here. The second thing that's in this box is there's a trading journal that you start using in week 8 or week 7, something around there. You start using the trading journal. So by then you will get the box, it will ship out. The estimated time I have right now for it to ship out is towards the end of November, because it takes 30 days for it to get on a boat from China and ship to the States. And in those 30 days, once it does come out, it's gonna be available to you guys. All right, second, I'm on the option intro part of the course and I'm so lost. What are you lost about? Guys, when you guys have a question or if you're lost about something, let me know, elaborate on your question, and I'll break it down much more. How long till it's safe for someone to start trading with real money after the course? I broke that down in one of the videos when you should trade with real money. I recommend after week 6 or 7. But obviously, if you start off and you're excelling well with the course and you're in week 4 and you got the whole concept, you can start up then. But I do not recommend you to paper trade for months and months and months, because paper trading, like I mentioned in one of the videos, creates a lot of false confidence, right? And it's not good to have that when you guys are trading. How do you play earnings? Earnings are always choppy and move very fast. Sometimes they break support or resistance and bounce back. So I personally don't play earnings. So like a lot of companies are reporting earnings this week, and I went over this in the webinar last night, which you guys should have saw. I've broken down all the companies that have earnings. So I personally don't play earnings, but I play earnings the next day, right? So I like to play earnings the next day, and I have a video on how to play earnings when you guys get to that part. But originally, I don't like to play earnings. I like to play it the next day. So one earnings I'm gonna play tomorrow is Beyond Meat, right? So Beyond Meat has earnings tomorrow. I'm gonna obviously first and foremost see how the earnings were, and then depending on the play, if it gapped up or gapped down, I will then approach the earnings situation. And once again, these terminologies that I'm using, like gap up, gap down, some people are not going to get it because you probably haven't went through the course. But when a stock gaps up or gaps down, there are certain plays, and as you progress through the course more and more, you're going to see what I mean. Next question. What do you think about all the warnings about a U.S. recession coming in the near future? To be honest, no one can really predict about the recession. We can sit here and say recession is going to happen next year, next month. No one really knows. Another kind of idea I have in the recession is the fact that so many people are talking about it and aware, right? I think that's going to prevent the recession from really happening anytime in the near future. I mean, I don't know, there's no real saying, but so many people are like, oh, we're going to see a recession, we're going to see a recession. I think that kind of puts us in high gear, because usually when a recession does happen, it happens unexpectedly, right? So since so many people are focused on the idea of recession happening and they're preparing for it, I think that kind of takes us a step back from it, unless something, you know, magically something new pops up. If we have questions while doing the action items, we should post in the trading forum, correct? Once we post the question into the trading forum, should we move on to the next part? Yes, so if you're on one of the action items and you have a question, what I would recommend for you to do is go to the traders forum, okay? When you guys go to the traders forum, let's say you're on part 1, post a question on part 1 or part 0. If you're on part 4, post a question on part 4. That's if you want an immediate response. But now, if it's a response that you think requires me to explain over a webinar, and there are going to be some questions that I would have to explain on a webinar, I wouldn't be able to type it out, you can go to webinar questions, right? Go to webinar questions, whatever week it is, comment and say, hey, these are the webinar questions I have. I'm on part 3, I'm having a hard time with, let's say, support. I'm having a hard time with this concept. I'm having a hard time with that concept. And I will break it down in a different format, because I understand the way the videos are structured, you might not understand it in that one format, right? So when I re-explain them in a webinar, I'm going to explain them in a different way. After 10 weeks, will we be locked out of the online course? No, you have 6-month access to the online course, so you can go back to it as many times as you want for the next 6 months. Quite frankly, if you go through the course for 6 months and you established everything and you start trading with real money in 2 or 3 months, you're really not going to need any of the content from the online course anymore. Even 6 months is kind of extreme, and the reason I have it on a limited time base is 2 reasons. Number 1, it benefits you because you knowing you only have 6 months pressurizes you and you can't half-ass it. Because now if I said, hey guys, you have lifetime access, you're like, oh, I don't feel like doing it today, I'll do it tomorrow. Knowing you have 6 months, no, you now know you have to get it done. You have to go through it. You have to pace yourself, right? But if I say lifetime access, it's gonna make people, it's gonna put people in a very comfortable situation. And they're like, oh, I don't feel like doing it now, I'll do it tomorrow. Knowing you have 6 months, you're more pressurized, right? Also, a 6-month aspect of my term is I don't want to have something that's out there forever where I think you only need it for 2 or 3 months max. How much time do we need to reprogram our mindsets? It legitimately, I'd say it takes 2 to 3 months, right? It's going to take 2 to 3 months. Like for you to reprogram your mind the way it's been programmed to wire and function in the past few months or years, for you to change that is not going to happen in a week or 2 weeks. There's a lot of methods I go over, such as meditation, right, such as journaling, such as so many other things that I'm going to cover in part 14 and 15. And that whole process is not going to be done in a week. That process is a continuous process that you guys are going to do for the next upcoming months and stay consistent, right? Like I mentioned, the people or the person you are right now, that person is not going to allow you to excel in trading. So you have to reprogram your mind. And that's one reason a lot of people fail and a lot of people do not succeed when they're trading. Do you wait for a close in the 5-minute candle above resistance or below support before entering the stock? Yes, always. Like if I'm trading on a 1 or 5-minute candle, right? And some people probably that haven't really been through the course yet are probably having a hard time with this. So if you guys take a look here, right? So this is Roku, right? So if you look at Roku today, right? There's people that traded this on a 1-minute candle. And if you haven't gotten to the candle part, I promise it's gonna start making a lot more sense later on. You can see here, see how Roku, and when you guys get to part 5, you're gonna see what I mean by this. See how it runs right into resistance? A lot of people get in here and they get shaken out. Real traders see this run up, they wait for a pullback, a consolidation, and then a breakout from that high before getting in. To do this requires a lot of patience, because what most people do is most people get in this trade, right? Get in this trade because they chase. So me personally, I like to wait for the candle to close, or I like to look at level 2 and time and sales, which I break down in part 5, to kind of give you a better idea on when to get in or when to get out. Here, Umar, I call myself a beginner trader. I've been trading for a year. I've been following and seeing a lot of potential in Roku stock that is going to be reporting earnings next week. Wanted to know your thoughts as well. I don't really know how their earnings are going to be. You know, I wish I did. So I can't really comment on their earnings. But price action wise, today they showcased a very strong move, right? Price action wise, when you guys do get over chart patterns and when you get to part 5, you'll see this was a very strong move. Stock goes up, formulates a bull flag, it gapped up today, broke out of resistance, very high probability around 142. You have a 4 to 5 point move. So that based on price action, very strong move. But for me to see how the earnings are going to be, it's impossible. There's no way to predict that. After this course, will we be able to trade stock and option both, or do we need to learn option trading in option class? You're going to be able to trade both. Now, the option class, that the in-person option class that exists, that just goes into options in a much more in-depth environment, right? Options is such a big topic. You can sell options, you can buy options. There's so many different strategies. But if you're just trading, like if you're legitimately just trading, like let's say you're trading Roku today, and you're just looking to take that trade, this course is more than enough for you. You don't need that. Do you think the market is heavily manipulated? Of course. I mean, the market's very manipulated. Like for example, like I just showed you with Roku, right? Like, see, these things happen. These plays that happen with Roku, see resistance level, it gets broken. These plays happen to shake out retail traders. We are retail traders. So a lot of it is heavily manipulated because you have to understand this very important concept, right? If trading was simple, everyone would make money, guys, right? Think about that. If trading was simple, everyone would make money. Now, what that means is think about this level. In simple terms, this is very straightforward. It's like, wow, it's breaking out. Let me buy. This is what a beginner trader would do. Because think about this. It breaks out of our critical level. It looks like a strong breakout. There's volume there, right? And once you get to part 3, you'll see I explain all of this in part 3. There's volume there. And on that volume play, you can see what goes on. This is where beginner traders buy. They're like, oh, it's breaking out, nice volume. And now smart money is exiting. They are exiting the trade right here. Market makers are trapping you and shaking you out. So when people enter here, they see this red, they get shaken out, right? You want to think outside the box and understand everything from a bigger picture, right? When you see simple plays, like when I see simple plays like this, I'm not touching it. I'm like, nope, I know they're going to trap. I know they're going to shake people out. I'm waiting. You wait, makes a new strong high, volume starts increasing again. That's giving you the continuation play, and you got to be able to see that, guys. Your course is super informative, bro. How much research went into your online course? I've been working on this for over a year, to be honest. Like, that's why I'm pretty sure some people have seen. I said, hey, I'm going to release in March. I'm going to release in June. I'm going to release in August. It kept delaying because I kept adding more and more pieces, right? I kept saying, okay, well, oh, I'm missing this, I'm missing that. Because when you have something in your head and you put it on paper, it looks good. But as you start going over more and more things, it's like, shit, I need to add this. I need to add that. This would be cool. Oh, no, I should move part 3 to part 2. So it kept restructuring for a very long period of time. How do you access the voice channel in Discord chat? So if you guys go to the Discord chat right here, right, just click on the SML voice channel, right? There's some changes I'm going to make here, guys, just to kind of like check some things out and see how everything's working. But I'm gonna play around with it. But if you go to SML voice channel, you guys will have access to that. Do you clean your charts and redo your support and resistance every week? How often, if not? I like to do it at least once a week, like before the trading week starts. Like, let's say, like yesterday. What I did yesterday on Sunday was I cleared my charts, right? I cleared everything, right? Right click, right? Clear drawing set, and I replace them just so I have muscle memory and just so everything stays fresh in my mind. and I know, hey, this is what Roku needs to break. This is what Facebook needs to break. So everything just stays fresh, right? So every week I like to do that at least once a week. You can do it on a daily basis too. That depends on you just to get more practice, but I like to do it once a week, and that once a week for me is Sunday. How do you deal with the emotional aspects of trading? I cover all of that in part 14 and part 15. So once you guys get to that, I break it down. And once I break it down, I want you guys to apply everything on your own. Once you apply everything on your own, I then want you to come back to me with questions, right? Because right now I'm going to give you the same information as I would in part 14 and 15. But when you guys go out and trade with real money, right? When you go out and trade with real money, it's going to be a lot more different. And then you're going to come up with new questions and new problems. And then I want you to bring those to me, and then we can work on that together. Do you still trade, or are you only doing options? I mean, trading is still kind of options, right? So if you're trading, you can trade options, stocks, whatever the case is. I have been trading more so options, but everything you guys go, for you guys to trade options, you need to understand price action. You need to understand everything that's covered in this course. So if you decide towards the end that, hey, I want to trade options, you can trade options. If you want to go and say, no, I want to touch stocks, you can touch stocks. That's completely up to you. Just because I trade one way or I trade something doesn't mean you have to trade that as well. How do you cut your losses quicker? Level 2, what is your thought process? Thank you. I cut my losses quicker because I understand where I want to take my losses, right? Every time I take on a trade, I know where I want to take my losses. So for example, and I have videos on all these questions you guys are asking when you guys go through the course. It has questions, it has answers flows. But let's just say I got in Roku right here, for argument's sake. My stop loss would be somewhere around below 139. But I would wait for the candle to close. I would not exit if I just see the candle forming like this. I want the candle to close. But that also depends on how I'm trading. If I'm day trading, my stop loss would be a lot different than my swing trading, because if I'm day trading, my stop loss is going to be tight. If I'm swing trading, or if I'm holding a position overnight, my stop loss is going to be wider. Will SML release an online options class down the line? Probably, I don't know yet, just because I understand if we do, honestly, it'll be probably months down from now. Because it's just developing something for online is a lot different for in-person, because for online to have people engaged, to answer every small detailed question, it requires a lot of breakdown, and that takes time. So as of right now, I want to, but I don't know when. Like for me to say when, I have no idea. But like I said, if you're just trading options, you're flipping premiums, this course is more than enough. But if you're like, you want to get into like advanced option strategies like iron condors, butterflies, you want to learn how to sell options, right? Collect premiums. That's a much more advanced thing. But starting out, don't spread yourself too thin, guys. Like just stay on track with this, master this, get great at this, and then say, you know what? Cool. I got trading down. I'm making X amount of money. How can I take that money and how can I make more money on that? And that's where selling options kick in. That's where formulating different strategies kick in. But starting out, don't focus on anything besides this. I see that you don't use any indicators, just volume and key levels. What do you think about VWAP? I use VWAP. I don't have it up on this computer. On my main trading computer, I have it set up on VWAP. I have it only on my intraday time frame. I only have it on a 1 minute, a 5 minute, maybe a 15-minute time frame. So I do use it. I do have it up. I just don't have it up here because in this inside computer, I just have everything clean. But besides the VWAP, I don't really use any indicators. On Thursday, Tesla was a bear trap when it broke pre-market low. I fell for that. What level indicated that the stock was gonna flip and was a bear trap? Thursday, was that the squeeze? Let me see, Thursday, what was Thursday? What day was Thursday? Hold on, so this is today, talking, remove this. So we have Monday, Thursday right here. the thing with Tesla, what you got to understand, so this is Tesla on Thursday, guys. So what happened with Tesla on Thursday is Tesla had earnings, they beat earnings, and on the open, you can see it sold off, right? Now, the trade on Tesla wasn't this day. This is where a lot of retail traders try to trade. They think Tesla's gonna go higher and higher. The trade was the next day. That's where smart money kicks in. This is where you see a short squeeze. This is where shorts get squeezed out. And you can see that huge rally. Once this level got broken, right, this tight area right here, the high over here, once that area got broken, you guys can see the huge rally behind Tesla. Tesla started rallying very, very aggressively right after that, right? So that's where the play was, in my opinion. I didn't like anything on Tesla the day of the earnings. Yes, it sold off. Yes, it faded, but very, very hard price action that day. Omar, of course, is awesome. My big thank you. I was waiting for 6-7 months. Thank you for your patience. I really appreciate it, man. Like I said, I'm sorry for the delay. Like I said, I put in a lot of time and energy into this. That's why it was delayed. I didn't want to put out, a shitty product, which is why it took a lot of time. Yo, Omar, when a stock is breaking a key level, how do you differentiate between whether or not a scalp or day trade would be better? I mean, it depends on how you're entering. Like me personally, when I'm taking on trades, I know how I'm going to trade right off the bat, right? So like Apple, I traded Apple multiple times, right? See, I traded Apple this day when it broke this high. When it broke that high, my immediate thing was to get in, right, and get out within a minute or two. Now, could it have went higher? Yes, it could have went higher. It could have went to 250. It could have went to 260, whatever the case is. But my game plan was to originally scalp, right? Because I don't want to enter a trade saying that it's going to be a scalp, right, and flip it into a day trade unless I have solid reasoning. Most of the time, if I'm going into a trade and I'm looking to enter and exit within a minute or two, I follow that game plan. The only time I wouldn't follow that game plan is if something switches, if the breakout is super strong and I'm like, all right, fine, hold on to it. Or if I go in with, let's say, 60 shares or 60 contracts, I would only then go in with 30, right? So that only depends on how you're approaching the play. But usually if I do go in and I'm going in as a scalp, I'm exiting half or full position unless something completely changes. Discord access will be for 3 months free. Yes, the Discord access you guys have is for 3 months. This is the full Discord access. Discord access, you guys can see everything's here. I'm going to make a lot of new changes here as well. So you guys are going to see more changes here, a lot more plays. I'm going to start posting more daily game plans, more breakdowns, and stuff like that as well on Discord. But the whole group chat and these webinars that you guys are on, you guys have it for 6 months. The whole form, everything is there for 6 months. Same thing with the course. Hi, Umar, thanks for your time. I see that during after hours, it is limit orders only. Is this same for pre-market? Yes, guys, when you trade pre-market or after hours, this is pre-market, this is after hours, right? When the market is closed, the market is closed, but you can still trade here. You can only use limit orders. You cannot use market orders during these 2 time periods. How do we determine what is a false breakout and what is a true breakout? I often get screwed because of fake breakouts. So once you get to part 5, I break that down. I go into breakouts, what strong breakouts, what are weak breakouts. But basically, this is a simple explanation. Exactly what happened with Roku today, as I explained. Strong breakouts, there's a difference, guys, of seeing a breakout that goes right into resistance, and there's a difference of seeing a breakout like this, right? In this situation, the stock took a break. In this situation, the stock did not take a break. It went right through resistance. So it already took a huge move up. So in this point, I want to see it pull back, consolidate, and then continue. A lot of retail traders get in here because they do not want to miss out on the play. Smart money, right, understands you should wait because this right here is market makers trapping you, taking your shares, shaking you out, and then continuing the play. A strong breakout, in my opinion, obviously needs volume and all these things, but it also depends on the move beforehand, right? Yes, this had strong volume, strong breakout, but what was the move beforehand? It was a very aggressive move. It needs to have a pullback. Now, if this move went up like this, that would be different. Okay, and in part 5, I have a video. It's about a 50-minute long video that breaks down everything with breakouts, breakdowns, and everything like that. Also, where can we see information on weekly webinar times again? As I mentioned, you guys can go right here, and you can go to upcoming webinars. If you go here, every week I lay out the schedule, and you can see the full schedule right here. I'm gonna implement something into the form. If you guys go to the form, there's a calendar. So on the calendar, I'm gonna implement webinars and everything, so you guys have a clear view of everything. And like I said, there's gonna be a lot more changes that are gonna grow the community. Like I said, we just launched, so obviously everything is good, but it's not perfect and great. So I'm gonna obviously continuously try to make everything better, so your user experience is far more better than it is now. Do you think the market is too choppy for swing plays? Yeah, I used to swing trade a lot about a year and a half ago. I've shifted my trading. My trading has changed a lot since then. I don't think swing trading a lot of plays right now are easy. I think it's very choppy. Market is also at an all-time high right now, guys. So I mean, depending on the Fed meeting on Wednesday and all these things, we're gonna get a lot more direction. So this breakout and pullback always happens. It doesn't always happen. It depends on the play. It depends on how the stock is moving. Right? I don't want you to think something always happens. The whole idea, as I mentioned, it's a probability game, right? So you just want to have the highest probability on your side. So you play that, and if the probability looks good, you can take on that solid trade. On that example you just mentioned where you scalped Apple, when exactly do you enter the trade? If you waited for the 5-minute to close over that level, did you miss part of the scalp? Okay, so this Apple trade, and like I mentioned in yesterday's webinar, I'm gonna start posting a lot of entries and exits on the Discord, right? So this Apple trade that I took right here, it was on Thursday, I didn't wait for the 5-minute. So I traded around here. Okay, and the reason I traded around here and the reason I got in here, and I think I have a live trade of this somewhere, to be honest. I think I have to, yeah, there's a live trade on that. No, not that. Yep, I have a live Apple trade right here. So I have a live trade of that, right? So the reason I got in on this scalp is because of level 2 and time and sales, right? Level 2 and time and sales, you guys haven't probably gotten up to that part yet. Right, it's probably, if you take a look on this side, time and sales, right, and level 2. When I saw time and sales in level 2 at this particular moment, what I did was I took the trade because I saw that the buyers were being aggressive. So that gave me confirmation. So when that happened, I was able to catch that 245 pop, right? And once again, I'm trading options, so a 245 pop, 30-40 cents is paying me well. I'm not buying the stock. So I'm buying the option contract for that. So at that point, the pop itself is paying me well, and that's all I'm looking for. And me entering the trade, I already know that this is what I'm looking for in this trade. All right, where's the questions? Anyone else has questions, just post in the question box, please. I don't even know where the question went. Okay, so how long did it take you to become consistently profitable and do trading for a living? A little over 2 years. Took me a year, 1.5. I kind of got better. I kind of got a hang of everything. Year 2 is when I really started grasping the idea of psychology and the mental models and how my mental state really affects my trading, and then trying to identify the whole concept of trading on a deeper level, understanding that I'm going to be wrong, understanding that it's a probability game, and accepting all these important facts on trading. Right, the first 1.5 years, I was all over the place. Right, swing trading, I'm day trading, I'm trading options, I'm trading stocks. I don't have an edge. I don't have a risk management plan. I don't have a trading plan. I don't have anything. I'm just waking up and I'm trying to make $1 million every single day. That was what I did my first 2 years. Now, is it going to take you 2 years? Probably not. It depends on you. Depends on how much time you're putting in. Depends on how quickly you grasp the idea. There's people part of SML that in 3-4 months they have been, profitable. Now that doesn't mean in 3-4 months you're going to become some elite trader that's making so much money, but in 3-4 months you could become consistently profitable in a shorter financial point of view, right? So it's not like you'll make 10, 20,000, but you'll be able to get into great trades, learn how to cut your losses, but that all depends on you. Some people have done it in 8 months. Like I've had members in the past that it took them 8, 9 months. I've had members it took them 3 months, and even some members it took them a little over a year. But that depends on what you're doing, how much time you're putting in, right? If you're consistent, you're trying, you're actually putting in high quality screen time, you'll do well. But if you're not, you're gonna have a very hard time. Swing trading is dangerous with Trump tweeting out here, yeah. How much money do you recommend starting with? I recommend that you don't start with anything personally more than 5 grand. I think the tops should be 5 grand, 5,000 US dollars. Now, I'm not saying you should start with that much, but I'm saying this should be the max. The reason this should be the max, guys, is because when you're starting out, you can even start off with 1 grand, 2 grand, doesn't matter, even 500. I don't care. My whole goal is when you start off with real money, you want to identify your emotions, you want to identify your problems, you want to identify where you mess up, what things you have to fix. Now, if you start with, let's say you start off with 20 grand, right? Which obviously I don't recommend starting out. It's easier to blow this money and be very demotivated. But if you start off with 2,000, 3,000, right? Now at that point, you can start identifying your problems. You're not putting a lot of crazy amount of money at risk, and you're slowly allowing yourself to build on that, right? But that depends on you. But I do not recommend anyone starting off with more than 5,000. I think if you start with less than 5, build the consistency, get comfortable. You're able to take trades, you're patient, you're doing your homework, you're doing your due diligence, you're knowing when to get in, when to get out, you're understanding your mind state. I think at that point, that's when you should maybe add more, but that shouldn't be after 3-4 months and after you've made some money. Do you trade during Fed meetings? How does the meeting impact the market? I don't like to trade during the Fed meetings immediately. Like I've scalped in the past and they're kind of like tough plays. I don't really recommend them. But when the meeting did happen in the past, what I like to do is personally, I sit in front of my computer and I just wait for Trump to tweet. Like that's it. I wait for Trump to tweet, because if let's say Jerome Powell, the Fed guy, said something like, oh, we're not cutting interest rates, or you know, the market is going down because of the trade deal, or he's attacking Trump, Trump usually retaliates. And if he retaliates, I'm there on Twitter waiting for him to tweet. Right, but I don't really like trading the day of the Fed meeting, maybe after, but not before that. Market's super choppy. Hey Umar, I missed the last 15 minutes. What is the link to rewatch? I'm gonna post a link right after the webinar is done. You guys are gonna get a link where you can rewatch it. You're gonna get an email, so I will send that out. Is there a PDT for options? When you trade options, stick to a cash account. Stay with a cash account, okay? Because let's say you start with 5,000, right? If you use $1,000 on Monday, that 1,000 clears on Tuesday. So you can trade this full $5,000 10 times, right? But once you use that capital, you can't use it until the next day. So if you're trading options and you're like, hey, I wanna go the route of trading options and I'm starting with less than 25 grand, I recommend using a cash account instead of a margin account. All right, Umar, I have a question. I know you will say it's not time for that yet because I'm just beginning, but it's something. It is something important, because once I finish the course, I'm supposed to really trade. I don't like to wait for the last minute to solve it. So please, by the way, it's about opening a broker account. Should I ask here or talk to you private? You can ask here about the broker account you want to open. So when you go to when you complete the part 2 that goes over the brokers and everything, there's a few brokers out there that you guys can open. I obviously recommend opening up TD Ameritrade. If you can open up TD Ameritrade, there's other brokerages you can open. Now, the question a lot of people may have is, how do I open? What do I do? You just open up a basic individual account, right? If you give them a call, you go online, they're going to ask you your basic information, such as, hey, you know, how much, they'll ask you basic information like date of birth, address, social security number, and whatever country you're from, they're going to ask you these basic questions. Fill it out, open up the account, and that's really about it. But if you're really, really having a hard time, you can message me also on the forum, and I'll go over it with you. But if it's not anything crazy, you can just ask me here. I'll break it down. I always read news about bonds moving higher, futures moving one way or another. How does that affect the market? Are bonds inverse to SPY? So if bonds are moving up, SPY is expected to drop. So there's like a yield curve. I don't want to get into it yet. I break that down in part 8. So there's something that investors focus on, which focuses on the yield curve, and that kind of signifies if there's going to be a recession or not. And when people go towards that route, they're more afraid of the overall market. So I break that down in part 8. Once you do watch that in part 8, just let me know, like, hey, I didn't get it, or any other question, and I'll completely break that down. The problem with cash account is that you can't sell premiums. No, you can't sell options with cash account. No. Okay, so here's my question. I can't open up a TD account because I'm not from the States. All right, yeah, like I said, if you're not from the States, you can't open up a TD account. There's other brokerages that you can open, right? So I'll send you some links on the forum right now. Check them out. Try one of them. Like they're good brokerages, right, from your country, and they should definitely work. If not, on TOS you can open up a paper trading account just to practice. If you don't want to open it up, you can open up one of the other accounts as well. Cool, thanks. All right, guys, I'm going to end the webinar right here. So this was the first webinar, like I mentioned. If you guys joined late, I will post everything in the forum. I'm going to post where you guys can access it. There's a lot of questions everyone's asking that are covered in the upcoming videos, right? So like I said, you guys are probably on part 2, part 3, maybe part 4. A lot of the questions you're asking is in the course. So like the way I want to structure it, so a lot of things aren't repetitive. If you go through a part, focus on the questions from just that part, right? And the reason I bring that up, because a lot of the questions are in the full course, like upgrades, downgrades, catalysts, economic events, fundamental analysis. Like I've covered all of those things, right? Like I've understood to make sure I cover those things because I understand people are going to have a lot of basic questions. There's also another part 12, 13, right? And those parts I go over a lot of different plays I made, and then at the end I have live trading. So once you kind of navigate through stuff, practice, apply, get better at, start asking those questions, and then we'll start kicking in from there. So I will see you guys in the next webinar. It's on Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And like I said, as we progress, I'm going to notice, depending on where people are from around the world, who can join, who can't join, and I'll try to accommodate everything in a well-medium manner, so everyone is kind of happy with that. So I'll see you guys in the next webinar. Good luck, and if you guys have any questions, message me or message any of the SML team members, and we will help you guys out. So good luck, guys.